What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected actors gets pushed to breaking point on live television? In just 31 seconds, a single disrespectful question turned a friendly morning chat into the most shocking walkout in talk show history. Tom Hardy walked onto the set that morning expecting a normal interview. He had done this hundreds of times before. Sit down, smile, answer a few questions, promote the film, share a funny story, shake hands, and leave. It was simple, predictable, and professional. He was calm as he adjusted himself on the couch, the bright studio lights warming his face while cameras silently rolled. Lorraine Kelly greeted him with her familiar bright smile, leaning forward with the polished energy of a seasoned host. At first, everything felt routine. She opened with compliments about having him on the show and asked about his latest movie. Tom relaxed, nodding as he spoke about months of preparation, long nights, and the emotional depth of his character. He spoke with pride. This project mattered to him. He talked about telling a story, truthfully and honoring the journey of the character. It was thoughtful, sincere, and professional. Everything a guest was supposed to be. But then the tone shifted. Lorraine's smile tightened slightly. Her voice changed. She waved one hand dismissively and said, almost casually, that she wasn't really interested in the character, but wanted to know when he would do a proper film that people actually wanted to see. The air in the studio changed instantly. The silence was heavy. Tom blinked, unsure if he had heard her correctly. He apologized politely and asked her to repeat what she meant. She laughed it off, as if she had just made a clever joke. She called his films dark, depressing, and too serious. She asked him why he didn't do something more fun, something light, something with sparkle. She wanted romantic comedy Tom, smiling Tom, not brooding Tom. His jaw tightened slightly. He adjusted in his seat, but stayed composed. He explained again that the film dealt with real issues and that it was something he cared deeply about. She interrupted him before he could finish. She spoke over him, saying no one wanted to feel sad at the cinema and that audiences wanted fun and escape. She called his work exhausting. That word lingered. Exhausting. Tom took a slow breath. Inside his mind, he told himself to stay calm, stay professional. He replied that audiences were smarter than that, that stories could be meaningful without being light and fluffy. Lorraine laughed again, a sharp, dismissive laugh. She told him she knew what worked, that she had more experience, and flatly said his films were boring. Live television, millions of people watching. And just like that, the friendly interview was no longer friendly. Tom kept his face calm, but there was a shift in his eyes. The words had landed. Being called boring, being dismissed so casually, wasn't something he was used to handling in this way. He respected opinions, but this didn't feel like opinion. It felt targeted. He responded quietly, carefully choosing every word. He told her that he respected her perspective, but that he was proud of the work he did. He meant it. Every project represented years of effort, rejection, learning, and growth. But Lorraine leaned back, crossed her legs, and pushed further. She asked him if he really was proud. She suggested that maybe he was hiding behind tough characters because he didn't have the confidence to do lighter, charming roles. The words didn't just hang in the air. They poisoned it. The crew behind the cameras shifted uncomfortably. This wasn't playful banter anymore. This felt personal, unnecessary, cruel. Tom went silent for a moment. Not out of weakness, but out of calculation. He thought about every interview he had ever done, every awkward question, every journalist trying to get a reaction. But this wasn't journalism. This wasn't curiosity. This was humiliation dressed up as entertainment. He spoke slowly, clearly. He told her he had come there to talk about a film that mattered to him and the team behind it. If she wasn't interested in that conversation, then he didn't understand why he was there. It was polite. It was controlled. It was a boundary. She brushed him off. She called him sensitive, flicked her hand in dismissal. She said she was just asking what everyone was thinking, and said he took himself too seriously. That moment changed everything inside him. Something hardened, something settled. This wasn't going to improve. This wasn't going to get respectful. He replied calmly that he didn't think everyone was thinking that. He thought it was just her. For a second, her smile slipped. She recovered quickly and told him he'd been touched by the comment. Her voice dripped with condescension. Then she crossed the final line. She suggested that if he couldn't handle a simple conversation, maybe he should stick to acting and let better speakers do the talking. That was it. Tom didn't react with anger. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't insult her. He simply stood up. Calmly. Quietly. He reached for the microphone clipped to his shirt and started to remove it. Lorraine's confidence evaporated. She told him not to be ridiculous. She tried to make it sound like it was all just a chat. But he said no. He said they were not having a conversation. He said she was insulting him and his work. And he wasn't going to sit there and let that happen. Lorraine tried to pull control back. She accused him of insulting her. She tried to frame herself as the professional, as the one doing her job. But Tom corrected her without raising his voice. He explained that interviews were conversations, and this wasn't a conversation. This was belittling. This was cruelty. He carefully placed the microphone on the arm of the couch. It was a small action, but it said everything about who he was. Even in that moment, he was respectful. He was controlled. He wasn't there to cause chaos. He was there to protect his dignity. She told him he was being unprofessional. She said he couldn't just walk off her show. She was losing control, and everyone could see it. Tom paused. He looked at her one last time and said two words that changed the tone of the entire room. Watch me. He didn't storm off. He didn't shout. He walked. Calmly. With his head held high. He walked past the cameras, past the stunned crew, and toward the exit. Behind him, Lorraine sat frozen. Her mouth slightly open. Her usual polished confidence cracked. She tried to recover on camera. She tried to joke. She tried to pretend it was just someone who couldn't handle honest conversation. But her voice shook. Everyone could hear it. The producers behind the scenes were panicking. This was live television. There was no script for this. No plan. A respected actor had just walked off mid-interview. They rushed to cut to a break. They threw in a cooking segment. Anything to fill the space. But nobody was thinking about food. Nobody was thinking about recipes. Everyone was thinking about what they had just seen. Behind the scenes, Tom walked into the hallway and met his publicist. Her face showed concern, pride, anger, and relief all at once. She asked if he was okay. He told her he was fine. And they left. Back on set, Lorraine tried to smile through the tension. She tried to continue the show as if nothing had happened. But it had. Something had shifted. Her words replayed in people's minds. The dismissiveness, the insults, the laughter. The contrast was impossible to ignore. Tom had remained calm, dignified, and clear. Lorraine had grown frantic, defensive, and shaken. The host had lost control. The guest had taken his power back. This wasn't just a walk-off. This was a statement. Without shouting, without drama, without insults. Just a man deciding that he would not sit quietly while being disrespected. After the cameras stopped rolling, the moment didn't stop echoing. People replayed it in their minds. Comment by comment, expression by expression. From the first dismissive wave of her hand to the final watch. Me. Every part of it told a story. Not about marketing a movie, but about boundaries, self-respect, and quiet strength. Lorraine had expected compliance. She expected him to laugh it off, to play along, to endure it like so many guests before him. She expected him to prioritize the show over his dignity. But he didn't. And that's what made it powerful. He didn't explode. He didn't make a scene. He simply refused to be part of something ugly. The more people thought about it, the clearer it became. Every jab she made was deliberate, calling his work depressing, saying he was exhausting, suggesting he wasn't confident, questioning his personality. Each comment chipped away at respect, and he absorbed it until the intention became undeniable. She wasn't there to interview. She was there to provoke. And yet, he responded with class. He named the problem clearly. You're insulting me and my work. No exaggeration. No drama. Just truth. He gave her a chance to correct herself. He gave her several. But once she made it personal, once she crossed into cruelty, he was done. Her attempt to blame him afterwards fell flat. The audience had seen everything. They saw him try to redirect. They saw him remain professional. They saw her laugh. They saw her interrupt. They saw how she tried to regain control too late. The interview was planned for 10 minutes. It ended in less than 4. 4 minutes from courtesy to conflict. 4 minutes from polite conversation to complete collapse. Not because of him, but because respect was lost. For Tom, the hallway was likely quiet. There were no cameras there. No bright lights. No audience. Just silence and adrenaline and relief. He didn't need to say much. He didn't need to justify himself. He had already done that by standing up and walking away. For Lorraine, the seat felt different. The room felt heavier. Her words didn't have the same confidence. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. She had learned something too, whether she wanted to admit it or not. This wasn't just about a celebrity walking off a set. It was about knowing when to leave. About recognizing that politeness does not require endurance of disrespect. About understanding that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply stop participating. The film didn't get discussed the way it should have. The project that meant so much never got its moment that day. But something else did. A moment of self-respect. A silent lesson broadcast live to millions. You don't have to fight. You don't have to argue. You don't have to beg for respect. Sometimes, all you have to do is stand up, remove the microphone, and walk away.